Fox News keeps running the same tired, stale segment over and over about how people are leaving the left. It's happening all over the place. But now I feel like as time has gone by, they've gotten less and less creative. And this has become so boring to me, because you could do this with any ideology. You think it's not possible to find people who were Republicans and now they left and they're on the left now because of what they see going on in the country? 100% that happens. And in fact, that might even be happening more than the reverse is happening, but that's ignored. This is all narrative humping. So let's take a look here, and then I want to come back and break it down.
As the political left continues their attack on conservatives on college campuses, our next guest says liberals alienated his moderate political views in the process. In a Washington Examiner op-ed, he writes, "The idea of tolerance was soon polluted and weaponized to shut down conservative opinions. It became clear that campus liberalism had few goals other than its own canonization as the sole intellectually acceptable view." Here with more is the president of the Federalist Society's Princeton University chapter, Akhil Rajashekar.
Yeah.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. It's very nice to be here.
Okay, it's good to have you. So you voted for Hillary Clinton.
I did.
The day after the election, you figured there would be some people moping around, but you had no idea it was going to be like that at Princeton.
Very true.
Describe it.
Yeah, so I voted for Clinton. I have center-left views. I had it anyway, until I was pushed to the right, as I explained. So I thought it was just going to be another election. I thought I was just going to vote, and I was happy to be in in a really vibrant democracy. Mm-hmm. And I thought we would go from there, find our views, and vote in the next election or seek to change what we could while we were here. In the political system that we were given, as opposed to this radical change in political views that we see today. And
so on the college campuses, it's just one view. There is no other view. It's just the way left view, period.
Very true. So I definitely agree with that. I think there's this sort of liberal orthodoxy. And I think that it's sort of aggravated in elite campuses, just because, like I say, I call it the canonization of its own view. And I think there's this idea that if you're not a liberal, you're an idiot, so to speak. That's the general idea, right?
So,
it's liberals or the intellectuals.
How many conservatives are there at Princeton?
Not many.
But if you were a conservative at Princeton, you wouldn't want to identify yourself because people are going to think you're an idiot.
Yeah, that's true. So I think one of the things that I should say is Princeton has been generally really good at this. Mm-hmm. The administration is really good at promoting free speech, and there's a lot of dialogue. We have really good conservative professors. We have Robbie George, Keith Whittington, top tenured professors.
It's Princeton.
It's really good. They do a really good job of encouraging that intellectual diversity. Right. But the culture still is very much a liberal orthodoxy, as you see it.
So you've got some advice in your report. Yeah. What the Republican Party should do, because you've been so disappointed in the reaction from the campus.
Yeah, I think Republicans should go the exact opposite way. I think Republicans should sort of embrace the moderates, and if you have to alienate anyone, you should do it to the extremists. I think it should go the opposite way, and stop polarizing within your own party, because that's just going to. And I was really surprised at this. 42% of this country is independent. So you have this whole class of, which means if every Republican and every Democrat voted for the same person, you're still talking about a little more than the majority.
So if a party wants to win,
you have to tap into it. Go for the middle. Tap into that uncommitted base, and then you're finding yourself with a gold mine, really.
Right. Well, it's a provocative op-ed. It's at the Washington Examiner. Akhil, thank you very much.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
That was such a shitty analysis. It's almost too shitty to comment on. But I'll try. So, they say at the end there, look, so many people are independents. That's true. But then their takeaway from that is just factually wrong. So they go, "Oh, there's a lot of independents." So what that means is you gotta go to the middle, because when you go to the middle, there's a gold mine there. But no, people being independents does not mean that they're in the middle. That's not the same thing. So somebody being an independent, that does not mean I am in between the Republicans and the Democrats. That's not what that means. That's not what that means at all. So you're misreading the situation. You're misreading what an independent actually is. And by the way, even people who self-describe as moderates, they could label themselves a moderate, but then when you go issue for issue, they could be far left. And honestly, somebody could describe themselves as a moderate, and then you go issue for issue, and it turns out they're far right. Those things are both possible. So this is such a surface level garbage analysis, and it's almost painful to watch because it's like such dim commentary. There's no substance there. So, all right. Every single poll that dives into the specifics, what do they find? They find that, for example, an overwhelming majority of Americans want Medicare for all. That's between 60% and 70%. 80% of Americans want to raise the minimum wage. 60% of Americans want free college. Over 90% of Americans want a universal background check on gun purchases. 58% of Americans want to raise taxes on the rich. Only 17% of Americans still want to be in the war in Afghanistan. And you go down the list, and I can only think of one issue off the top of my head where Americans are not in agreement with what actually is the left position, and that would be the death penalty, where it's like 53% or something support the death penalty. But, it drives me insane when people talk about politics and they don't bring up policy, because that's the whole point of politics, is policy. But he does this thing, and this is something I've just seen a lot of recently, where somebody will do the whole tap dance of, I'm leaving the left. I was on the left, and now I'm leaving it. Now I'm leaving it because of how they treat me. They have not been very respectful, and they're not very tolerant of different views. Who gives a shit? If somebody's not tolerant of other views, that doesn't mean they're by definition wrong. I am intolerant of fucking creationism. I'm intolerant of it because it's factually incorrect, and I'm not going to entertain that garbage. Now, somebody could turn around and say, well, I've become an even bigger creationist because Kyle was mean to me. That's your problem. That ain't my problem. That's your problem. And that doesn't make you right. And that's the thing, is they love this victim culture thing of like, the lefties on campus were mean to me, and so now I identify with the right. Well, then you're a dumbass because you have no clue that that's not how politics works. It wouldn't matter if I met Noam Chomsky face to face and he told me to go fuck a goat, and he told me I'm a jackass and I'm an idiot and nobody should take me seriously. I wouldn't then wake up the next day and say, you know what, Rush Limbaugh, that guy's got it figured out. Because I'm not a child. It wouldn't matter if I had terrible interpersonal relationships with Noam Chomsky and anybody or everybody on the left. It wouldn't matter if they all hated me. What matters is where I actually fall based on the issues. But these people they're such children that they think of politics in a sense of like, it's personalities. Like, ooh, the people on the right were nicer to me, so now I'm on the right. That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. And if you think about it for 5 seconds, you would know that makes no sense. But instead you embarrass yourself and go on Fox News and play the role of like, yes, the left is so mean. And by the way, scrap that line of thinking. Let's get to a new line of thinking, because I do have a lot to say about this. They talk about how, there are more left-wingers on college campuses. But that's unavoidable to an extent. Now, by the same token, there are other areas where there will be more right-wingers. You know? So if you look at CEOs, for example, they're going to skew to the right. Should we have some sort of a program to make it so that CEOs are like 50-50? Or should we encourage that and say, we should have like half Democratic CEOs and half Republican CEOs? I think that the nature of what that is, what being a CEO entails, it's always going to be a position that leans right. The people in those positions are going to tend to lean right. There will be more people who are on the right than on the left in that kind of a position. By the same token, with academia, yeah, you're going to find more people on the left. Now, I'm not saying it should be 100% left-wing, no. But there is going to be a natural skewing to the left because it's one of those fields that people on the left are more interested in getting involved in. So it's really weird that it's like they play the victim over this as if that's like unacceptable, you know? And listen, I'm not saying that like Ben Shapiro or any other Republican who wants to give a speech should be banned. I'm in favor of them speaking. But what I am saying is you're harping away at a problem that's not even necessarily a problem. The idea of like, oh, the academia tends to lean to the left. That's going to happen naturally. So these topics are talked about in such an unserious way that it drives me crazy. I would love to sit down with this guy. Actually, no, I wouldn't. I don't want to sit down with him. But I would be curious to hear him say, hey, man, I used to be for abortion, now I'm against abortion. You know, because, okay, then I get, oh, you're saying you're moving to the right. Okay. Well, if you give me solid reasons as to why that makes sense, fine. Oh, I used to be for abortion, now I'm against abortion. I used to be for gay marriage, now I believe in one man, one woman marriage. And you can go down the list. I used to believe in progressive tax rate, now I'm in favor of a flat tax rate. Okay, well then now you're giving me reasons where you're like, hey, here's why I'm moving to the right. That is not at all what he said. He said lefties are mean on college campuses, and so I'm so saddened by their meanness and how intolerant they are that I'm now moving to the right. You have to come to grips with the fact that that's a shitty reason to do that, and also that makes no sense. And you're not thinking about politics in a serious way, and it's laughable, and it's exactly why Fox News would have you on.